Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys we are going to be doing a deck profile of a deck that I have been wanting to profile for you guys since it came out a while ago. And if it wasn't for your guys' support, we could have not built this archetype. So thank you to my Patreons and my viewers and subscribers for supporting the channel. And that is the Fairy Tale archetype, aka the Golden Castle of Stromberg. I know my bad German accent there. I'm sorry. I apologize to all my German friends out there. But the Castle of Stromberg archetype, aka, like I said, Fairy Tale. This deck, I've been playing around with it recently. It's not meta by any stretch of the imagination. It does have amazing combo plays that the deck can do and fairly do them well. But you got to be careful because this deck functions on a clock. And what I mean by that is when you want to get to Golden Castle of Stromberg of your deck. It's your win condition. And then you have a certain amount of turns after that to win the duel. And if you don't, you will deck out. So I wanted to put some precautionary measures in the deck because I was, you're usually going to win by that point if everything is going okay. But sometimes it's good just to have some protection, quote unquote. So yes, let's get into the deck profile now. So first off, we run 3 princes in at the deck. This can when it's normal or special summon, you get to bring out Pumpkin Carriage, and then Pumpkin Carriage can protect your Golden Castle of Stromberg. So you can bring her out from the deck with Golden Castle. And then you can use Glass Slippers and then attack directly and things of that nature. So Princelson works well. Now, people have asked me, why is this not called Cinderella? Well, after doing some research, I found out about copyright and infringement and things of that nature with Yu-Gi-Oh cards and how does that relate to other things like the domain of things like anybody can use Cinderella, the name. Anybody can use the artwork of Cinderella. The problem is you can't use them both together. So because the artwork looks similar to Cinderella, okay, Konami had to change the name because you can't have the name Cinderella and the artwork of Cinderella as the same thing. Otherwise, Disney has the right to sue you. That is what I have been told and looked up on. So there's a little bit of a legal lesson from you, a little one-on-one. Don't take my word for the gospel, but that's what, from what I understand, that's why they had to change the name. They decided to keep the artwork and change the name. But Princess Sen, aka Cinderella, we run 3 of her as well in the deck. Love the artwork. Then we run 2 of her Pumpkin Carriage. This Pumpkin Carriage can help protect your Golden Castle of Stromberg. If you remember in the anime, Golden Castle of Stromberg already had that built in, but with Pumpkin Carriage on the field, you actually have that additional effect by protecting your Golden Castle of Stromberg. So we run the 2 Pumpkin Carriage in the deck as well. So, yep, that is the little Cinderella engine. We'll talk about the Glass Slippers later on and some different applications you can use them for. Next we run, I would say, the better engine of the 2. I've seen people just not even run the Princess's engine, which it works well in the deck, and you need it just in case things happen badly. And for Pete's sake, you can use it for link fodder. But Iron Hans and Iron Knight are where it's at for link things because they're warriors, they're earth attribute. There's just a bunch of different things you can do in the deck. This is more of a link spam version of the deck because to win with this deck, you need to be link summoning to do your things. You can't just win with these guys' effects alone. That's where the deck has a problem. I mean, Hexe Trude is good on its own, but you know what I'm trying to say. So 3 Iron Hans, which you are probably going to be one of the first things you tutor out from the deck. And then Iron Hans brings out your Iron Knight. And granted, yes, they'll lose attack, but there's different little plays you can do here. All right. So let's talk about some of these plays. A, you can use these for link fodder, number 1. Number 2, the other thing you can do is, because these are both warriors, it works with a Soul Day. Now, a Soul Day works with equip spells. So what you can do is you can use this with Glass Slippers with a Soul Day to get Glass Slippers from the deck sometimes. So that's why you can add Glass Slippers as long as you haven't banished it. So the Soul Day works well with these guys in certain situations. So that's why we do run it in the deck if you're wondering, because the warriors, and then they work with the Princess in, and then the Glass Slippers because equip spells. So there's a little one-on-one lesson why we run a Soul Day in the deck. So your 2 Iron Knight, your Iron Hans, they work with link fodder to do different things. Iron Hans will get more attack if you got, depending upon the number of Iron Knights that you have out in the field and things of that nature. So yeah, This is the better engine. I've seen people run 3 Iron Hans and then just 2 Iron Knight. You could go with that ratio if you want to, but because we're banishing so much, I kind of wanted to go with the same mentality as if I'm running Pod Desires, even though I'm not running in the deck. You want to run a lot of 3-ofs. That's why you're going to notice in the deck there's a lot of 3-ofs. There's a couple of 1-of off good cards that if you get them, you get them. But you're running things as 2-of and 3-of because you're banishing so much with the deck constantly that you want to make sure that you have things in your deck to do things. Now, I'll mention here too, that some people I've been talking to have thought about maybe making the deck 42, 41, 43 cards in the deck just to add that extra layer of protection. And you could do that, but the problem with that does is that adds inconsistencies. It's not like when I used to run Pod Desires. In some decks, I'm like, it just adds a little bit of layer of protectionness, you know, from banishing all the good things I want in my deck. You could go with that same mentality in this deck and it works, but you have to know that you're cutting down on your inconsistency. You know, you can make the deck a little bit more inconsistent, but there's pros and cons to it. So if you want to make the deck 41, 42, 43, a small little ratio bump because you want to give a little extra of cushioning for banishing so much, you could do it. I even saw one friend of mine, he was playing with the deck and he had 3 cards left in his deck because he ran a 43 card version of the deck and he won the duel because of that. So, you know, you get your yin and your yang with both, but I just wanted to put that out there as we discuss about the deck and how to make optimum builds of said deck. Next we run 2 Hexe Trude. I've seen people run 1 of her. I've seen people run none of her. I've seen people run 3 of her. I prefer 2 of. She's a good card that if you're able to get her out of the deck, great. Good for you. She can do different things for you and she's really good. Love the artwork, but yeah, definitely 2 of her. The OCG artwork is more revealing. Go figure. But 2 Hexe Trude in the deck. Then we run 3 Griff, the Phantom Bird. I'm trying, so I know this is like a fairy tale archetype and it's based off, you know, Cinderella and different stories of German mythology, you know, legend. I'm trying to figure out where the freaking griffin fits in. I'm still trying to figure that out. I don't know where. Maybe somebody can explain to me down in the comments section. But this card functions pretty much like a New Age Commandant, which is really interesting. So if you guys are familiar with Harpy Queen, Commandant, different older type of cards out there that we've had for a very, very, very long time. I actually have one next to me, but I'm not going to go looking for it right now. But different cards like this, where you used to be able to pitch the card from your hand, and then you get to add the field spell. Well, this functions the same way, but in addition to that, it actually has an added effect. So if you normal or special summon it, you get this additional effect. So where Commandant and all those other cards were just beat sticks, this has an additional effect to normaling or special summoning it. And that it can blow up back row, which is really nice. So it's in hand, you pitch it to search your Golden Castle. If you normal or special it, you get to pop back row. Nice. So the additional effect is pretty good. I really like that it's pretty much power creeping out the older field spells monster searchers, which is nice. And I hope they continue to do that. Give me extra versatility. This is what I was talking about when I run protection. Now, some people are like, oh, Seto, you know, don't run Necroface. Just run the deck as it should be. I'm telling you, there's 2 ways you can go about this. You can run Necroface or you can run Gamma. Gamma because you can go into Omega and then recycle your banished cards. Necroface can add everything back. The downside with that, and here's the downside, the turns that you use Golden Castle Stromberg's effect, alright, you cannot normal summon. Alright? You have to normal summon this to get all your banished cards back. But if I'm going to be normal summoning this, it's because I need to normal summon it. Because maybe I only have 1 more turn, and I'd rather use that turn to add banished cards back to my deck so I have extra turns to play. While if I didn't run this, if I didn't normal summon that turn, I'm going to lose. So it's an extra precautionary measure. Yes, you can't special summon the turn you use Golden Castle Stromberg's effect, but if you're running low on life points, or running low on cards in your deck, you just normal summon the Necro Valley that turn. That way you can restock your resources. If it banishes because of Golden Castle's effect, face down, cool, that's fine. It's just in here for precautionary measures because it can come in handy, and it has won me games and saved my life for adding me just those extra maybe 2-3 turns so I can win the duel. Especially if the deck is stalling out, because I've even seen people stall out with this deck because they're like, oh, I can stall out until he runs out of cards and decks himself out. So 2 Necroface, it's something that you can run in the deck or not run. You could run Gamma, so you can go into Omega easier, and Driver as well, but that's what I decided to run. We also run Hand Traps, which don't work as you would think to in this deck, because the fact of the matter is you're banishing a lot of cards, and because of that reason, they're not going to be as effective in the grind game or things of that nature compared to like some other type of deck you're running, like maybe Pure Brandish or aka Strikers. It just depends. But they're still nice to have in the deck because you can power out a lot of powerful monsters and cards onto the board. At the same time, you can also have the hand traps to stop certain plays of your opponent so they don't go overkill. So I decided to run 2 Ghost Ash. You could run 3. And 2 Drill and Lock. You could run 3. But this is the ratio I decided to run the deck. 2 Ash, 2 Drill. If you wanted to run a different ratio, go right ahead. If you want to run 3 Drill and Lock, go right ahead. Maybe cut a Call from the Grave that I run in the main deck. Whatever the case may be. But this is just the ratio that I'm running. 2 Drill and Lockbird and 2 Ghost Ash. You can run more if you want to. Then there's a 3 Golden Castle of Stromberg. Broken, good card. Very hard to pull from what I've heard from everyone. Thank gosh I got them cheap. They're going down in price, but I got a feeling over time, because heaven knows when this card's going to get a reprint and it's from the anime, it will go up in price over the course of time. Because it's going to be like Toon Kingdom. It doesn't get a reprint for forever, and it's just going to go up in price, and it may never even get a reprint. You never know. It may be 4 or 5 years before it gets a reprint, and by that time it could be a $40, $50 card. Just saying. So, yeah, Golden Castle of Stromberg. You run it in the deck, it's your field spell. You run 3 Terraforming in addition to this because it's literally the heart and soul of the deck, and you need to get to Golden Castle of Stromberg right away, as soon as possible. So that's why we run the 3 Terraforming in addition to the Golden Castle and in addition to the Griff. That way, technically, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 copies of Castle of Stromberg in a 40-card deck. That's a lot better ratios. But you have to keep in mind, they could ash you. And that's why you run things like Call of the Grave in the deck, in case you have Call of the Grave and you have a Terraforming. You don't have to worry about being ashed or drilled, whatever the case may be, when you're going off with your combo plays. So, yeah. Oop, my bad. Next up we run, I'll put this over here. Next up we run, woo, my cards fell over. New card sleeves, what can I say? Next we run 2 Glass Slippers. You could run 1 of this, you could run 2 of it. I've seen some people even run 3 of it. I don't like 3. But 2 or 1 is okay to run in the deck. It works well with your princes in case you banish one, you have another one in your deck perhaps. So, like I said, I'm trying to run this ratio with the idea of I would run maybe an extra card because I'm running on a Pod Desires engine. Now this is a card that not a lot of people run, but it comes in handy for me, and I like it. If you want to run other cards in the deck, go right ahead. It does take some setup though. And that's 2 Iron Cage. A lot of people don't run this card, and I understand why. It's not an amazing card. It takes some setup, things of that nature, but it's non-targeting removal. I'm not going to complain. And then I can reborn that monster to my field to make link plays, to make exceed plays, to make attack with if it's a big enough monster. You get what I'm going with this. You can use that monster for a lot of different things. And for that reason is why I like the 2 Iron Cage. You sometimes you're probably going to just use 1, but I like 2 in the deck because it's nice to have. You don't need to run this card. You could run it. Say you wanted to run a triple Ash and triple Drill. Just take this out of the deck and there you go. But for me, for playtesting and just playing and doing link spamming and doing all this stuff, it's working fairly well. And I like it because you can special summon it from the graveyard. And you can still use Golden Castle Stromberg, go into special summons, go into link summons, and you're fine. So 2 Iron Cage, Try it out. You're only going to activate when Ghastly or Stromberg is on the field to pop your opponent's monster, then reborn it. But yeah, try it out. Next we run 3 Scapegoats. I'm usually a fan of running just 2 Scapegoats because it can get cloggy. But in a deck that banishes as much as this deck, and in a deck that you want to rely upon link summoning a lot more than usual, I definitely say 3 Scapegoats, because the same time you activate Castle Stromberg, you just set this, activate it in phase, Scapegoats, whatever the case may be. Castle Stromberg doesn't say anything about special summoning. It just says normal summon. You can't do that turn. So you can still do special summoning stuff and continue to go off. So that's why we run the 3 Scapegoat for link summons, link plays, link combos. You really need it in the deck. Next up we run 3 Call by the Grave. You gotta run it. It's essential in this deck because if you're terraforming, your Griffin, your something gets hit by Ash, by a Drill and Lock, mainly by Ash, you want to stop it right away. You don't want that to go through because that could literally be like the end of game for you. One Ash can ruin this deck and you need some protection. That's why I know some people are running Gamma, which is fine. You can run it, but I just went with the Call by the Grave. I didn't want to rely too much upon it because sometimes I was finding myself, oh, I got a Griff and I got a Terraforming. So if they Ash me, I'm fine. That's cool. I can just use the other one and go off with Golden Castle. Or I had Golden Castle in hand already, and then I could just deck thin and maybe make them waste an Ash, make them waste a Drill if I just wanted to see what other cards, you know, cut down their ratios of cards in their hand to do things and just get those cards out of the way in case, gosh forbid, something should happen. But yeah, 3 Call just in case. Little precautionary measures against our hand-trapped friends of today. Lastly, we run just a couple one-ups. I decided to run 1 Regeki. I was debating upon the 39th card of the deck, the 40th card of the deck. I decided to run a Regeki, even though this deck is predicated to go in first. In case you go in second, you can blow up the board, you can do things, and Regeki is just a very powerful card to have. You can clear the board, maybe you just link spam a lot, Regeki them, go for game. Just a good card to have. And Solemn Judgment, life points really don't matter in the deck because you're literally just going off. You're trying to do your things. And Judgment can also be additional protection to Castle of Stromberg as well. So I like that. It is a trap, but it is one of the most powerful traps of all time. Hands down. So that's why we run Solemn Judgment. Alright, we'll hurry up with the extra deck here, make it very quickly. I know we're running low on time. But we run on 2 field centers, our Dark Magician and Blue Angel. For your links, we run Vorlode, we run Unicorn. We also run Summon Sorceress, which you can make in the deck now, so don't forget, you can make Summon Sorceress. We run Topological Trisbania. Then we run Nightmare Griffin, Nightmare Cerberus, the 2 Tails of the Noble Knight, like I talked about before, Link Spider, Link Karibo, for different things you can do. So that's your Link monsters. For your Exceeds, we run Babushka, the big Utopia package. Alright, and something I'm trying out because it's been working out well for me, Garaga Cowboy, if you go into time, gosh forbid, but that's usually not going to happen. But if you just need to put an extra little burn damage, you can run Cowboy. And especially Heartland Drago, because you run a field spell. And if they have a big board you can't get around, you just jump over that and just hit them for 2,000 and win the game. It's won me like 3 games already. People are not prepared for Heartland Drago nowadays. Nextly, we run some tokens, my waifu tokens for my Scapegoats. Just waifu tokens, that's all they are. I'm a man of culture, what can I say? So, that is the deck profile for you guys. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. Like I said, remember, don't forget Summon Sorceress you can make in the deck now. You can definitely make your Summon Sorceress now because she is legal, so if you do have her, you run Summon Sorceress in the deck. But I hope you guys all enjoyed this profile. I love playing this deck to death. It is a very, very, very fun deck to play. A lot of nostalgic memories, actually. But I hope you guys all enjoyed this profile. And if you did, please give it a big thumbs up. And that's when I'm going to end the video now, because we were discussing all the different ways you can play it and how to use the deck and different ways you can play it as well. So hopefully this video was helpful to you guys, and I will see you all next time. Take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling, and I cannot wait for the Valkyries to come out. And for you guys that are wondering, Seto, are you going to do a Time Lord deck? Yes, I'm going to do a Time Lord deck. eventually, but I do not have all the cards at this moment. But take care, guys. I'll see you next time.